So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first?
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Who Talks First. I am CT.
And I'm Solo.
And this week we're finally going to do this topic.
We're going to do it.
Because
you asked for it! You get
it! That's how we advertise ourselves. Follow us on Nights of Rant.
Yes.
But actually this was a topic we've been wanting to talk about for a while. We just kept putting it off because it was a topic that I wanted to be super well researched for.
Yes.
And I am super well researched for, but
we just got new information.
We got new information. I decided I just wanted to do it, and I wanted to kind of structure it, but that's not who we are. We're the Knights of Rant. We're not the Knights of well-structured conversation.
Don't try to change who we are.
Yeah, just like don't try to change Kylo. Am I right?
But I want him to change Courtney.
Try to change. Okay, segue. And that's what this week's topic is. It's the Kylo Ren redemption arc. And how it is hopefully, inevitably going to happen. And
because that's good storytelling.
Dear Lord. So I guess starting out.
Let's rant a little bit first.
Because that's who we are. There's some people on the internet that think Kylo Ren should stay a bad guy, and I think they have never seen a Star Wars movie in their life.
I also think that they don't understand who, the Skywalkers are at all.
I think their favorite character is also Boba Fett.
I'm like, why would you want the main family in the universe, their last, kin, to end he's just a bad guy?
Well, also, these people, I don't want to say to be fair, but to be fair, think Rey's a Skywalker.
Well, it's wrong, so...
And I'm just, waiting for the day. I cannot wait for episode 8 for all hell to break loose, because there's definitely two big sides.
Yep.
And both sides are 100% certain
that the other one's wrong.
It's gonna be so bad. And
I'm gonna burn all our Star Wars stuff and Rey's a Skywalker.
It's gonna be really bad. I'm just gonna... All the live action stuff gone.
It's only gonna be Clone Wars merch.
Clone Wars merch. I mean... I guess prequels and original trilogy I can keep, but it's just now then it gets too rough, man. It's too rough for me. But I think the Rey Skywalker fans, apologies if you are one of them, because if we haven't made it clear by now, we really don't think that and think it's horrible. That's bad writing.
Yeah, I mean, said it again. I'll say it a million times. If she's a Skywalker, I'm gonna look at you and be like, how dare you make me like Star Wars? I told you it was stupid all these years!
Star Wars was bad!
I didn't like it for 24 years, and then you made me like it! And now I'm mad at you!
My greatest apology. And I'll be like, I'm sorry, I didn't think this was gonna happen.
I thought we had better.
And I do think the Rey Skywalker fans are a little bit shaken in their boots.
Yeah.
Now, because...
Well, I think most of them when I talk to them, people will think that she's a Skywalker until I'll, ask them questions like, why would Luke do that? And, X, Y, and Z, and wouldn't this be better? They're like, oh, that sounds way better. And so I think a lot of people just don't analyze things the way that we do.
No, there's definitely a lot of people who think that...
Just on a very
their minds
value.
can be easily changed.
Yeah.
They're not, dead set. They're like, oh, that's just what I think. Because... I won't say the movie hinted at it, because it really didn't. It just was...
It's just the obvious answer?
It's just, the obvious answer, because who are her parents? And where's Luke's the main character? So it's putting the pieces
She's
together.
using the lightsaber.
Oh my god, which, if one person's like, well, then why did the saber call out to her? I'm like, because she's Force sensitive, man. It called out to Obi-Wan to read the Ahsoka book. It happens. And,
And also, Finn also activated the lightsaber. That lightsaber gets around. It's the whore of Star Wars.
We should make that a shirt. It's the whore of Star Wars. It's just the picture of the lightsaber. No one will get it.
Just those, and it's no, it should just be the lightsaber that says I get around.
I like it. We'll design it.
Let's do it.
But there
Let
are
us
some
know
people
if you want to pre-order
who are
it.
so dead set in Rey being a Skywalker. Which, again, I don't know why they hate Luke, because Luke would just have to be...
A terrible dad?
Terrible dad. And
why they want all the Star Wars OGs to be bad parents? Why do they want that?
I have no idea, because literally the only way they can work around it at this point is that if Luke had absolutely no idea that he knocked up some woman and she gave birth and left this kid on a planet.
Yeah.
He has to have no possible idea. And
you want to talk about, like, the Kenobi thing is kind of gratuitous and you can, like, work around it, but the Luke having a mysterious love child that he doesn't know about is way more far-fetched than Rey being Obi-Wan's granddaughter.
yeah, I mean, I completely agree.
Because we basically have it confirmed that Obi-Wan and Satine were hooking up when they were younger.
They were doing the diddle.
We know that.
There's
as much as you can say that in a
line
cartoon
about it. Like, Anakin full on, like makes a sex joke at them, and
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's like, oh my god.
And Obi-Wan's like, let's not talk about this.
Let's not talk about...
Satine and Obi-Wan are the Padme and the Anakin of Last Generation. They were doing the exact same thing, except for that Obi-Wan was like, oh, well, I guess
have to choose.
you're a Duchess, and I'm just a Jedi, and I will stick to my path only because you didn't ask me to leave.
Yeah. Like, again, it's gratuitous, but also Obi-Wan says he's not a Jedi anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, even after he's on Tatooine, he's like, well, I'm not a Jedi anymore.
Yeah.
I think he even knows, he's like, I can't follow those teachings anymore. And
again, I'm thinking this happened a long time ago, obviously, because Satine's dead.
Yeah.
But, like...
if you're going down the Satine bloodline,
Yeah.
obviously it had to happen a while ago.
Yeah.
And while Luke is definitely, like, we don't know how much he's following the teachings, but, like, just given all that they're filling in with the storyline, it doesn't make any sense for Luke.
No, and I feel like Luke really went and, like, not dedicated his life to the teachings, but he has a goal to rebuild the Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really looking to, like, settle down or anything like that. He's like, I have goals. Maybe that's something he's gonna do later on down the line, but, like, in between these movies, we basically know that he was like, I'm gonna go find more Force-sensitive kids and find Jedi artifacts, and I'm gonna be bopping around and
basically raising my nephew.
Yeah.
And
we know that he was busy. We have comics.
we have comics, we have books that are slowly filling them in, but honestly, I mean, the more and more that comes out, the more and more unlikely Rey Skywalker seems, which thank the heavens.
Thank God, then maybe I'll finally buy the Rey hot toy.
The second Rey Skywalker's not confirmed, I'm going online and buying that hot toy.
That's all, because I cannot spend $400 on her set in BB-8, because that's the set I want.
Mm-hmm.
But if she was a Skywalker, I'd be like, throw it in our fireplace. It isn't actually a fireplace, but I'll throw it in that fireplace.
Yeah. And
melt it down.
that would be really sad.
It would be.
Because, honestly, like, the story has such better poetry and makes so much more sense if she's not related. Or has a different sort of relation.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's the Kenobi theory, there's the nobody theory, which... Kenobi and nobody are my, like...
those are my two favorites.
Kenobi, I agree, gratuitous, seems unlikely, but...
but would love it?
Would love it. And, nobody seems most likely to me.
Mm-hmm.
Palpatine is... I don't love Palpatine, but
better than Skywalker.
Better than Skywalker. There's certain parts of the storytelling aspect that I'm like, that makes it a little interesting. They can make it interesting.
Yeah.
But
because if it would be like her bloodline was a dark bloodline and she becomes light, and then segue, Kylo is dark and then goes towards the light, but
they can make it work. So anyway, there's our Rey Skywalker rant of the day, and that's not what this podcast is about.
No, it's not. But
at all. We're here to talk about good old Kylo Ren.
Good old Ben
Organa, which I will call him that.
Absolutely.
Just, it only really makes sense that his last name's Organa.
It's a royal blood name. You would take it. Bail Organa. He took his wife's name.
More than likely. That's not confirmed, but...
you always take the royal last name.
And also, Han's like this notorious drug-dealing smuggler, and the last name Solo is not going to get you anywhere.
No.
Like...
why would you... it's not going to get you any good attention. Especially
because, I hate to bring this up, Han was not around when Leia was pregnant, and I would hands down believe Leia would be like, no.
This is my kid. I carried him? You're not around?
Yeah, you were there for like a day.
And then you went to your fucking racing.
Well,
And
like
smuggling.
right now during the pregnancy, because you get a little bit of Leia's pregnancy in the book, Life Debt. Han's missing, and he's trying to go free Kashyyyk, which is like Wookiees, the Wookiee planet. And
well, at least she's doing
Chewie
something
went
nice.
missing, but still, Leia's just so pissed that he took this mission.
Right.
Like, that he left. And he has like this inner dialogue where it's like, it's so nice being out doing like the whole smuggling business again. And Leia kind of doesn't know that he's smuggling again, but he does. But she does, I should say. And it's just like, oh, poor Leia. Deserves everything. Okay, Leia deserves her son back.
Yep.
Which, I mean, again, like...
If anything, for Leia.
For Leia and everything that even, like, Carrie Fisher stood for in this. Like, I do really don't like talking about her future in the series because I do think it's too soon to really decide these things. And it's very difficult to talk about, obviously. I have a hard time talking about it. But
if you want to talk about, like, fighting your inner darkness to become a better person, like...
Yeah. And Kylo, who very clearly to me represents a manic depressive, like...
Or at the very least, someone who's bipolar.
Yeah. And, like, he's
somewhere on the spectrum.
He goes... Yeah, he has these very big, giant mood swings and uncontrollable, like, emotions. I mean, obviously he does things that are far more villainous, but...
Because, again, this is fantasy.
But it's fantasy, and I want to bring this up. You have to make things way more dramatic in fantasy and in movies for people to understand, because...
You can't be subtle. It's not like a novel, because you're not reading into that character's head. You can't do that in film. So you have to show these things.
And also, when, like, everyone's like, Anakin's whiny. That's who Anakin is. But honestly, Anakin's going through, like, in real life, he's probably got some serious mental health issues.
Yeah.
But, he does do some big bad stuff later, obviously. But there's sometimes you have to take things to an extreme so you can tell that, like, there's something really wrong rather than them just being whiny. Even with Luke, like, he's going through some stuff, but, like, everyone's like, well, they're just whiny.
I'm like, well, first of all, they're in a war, so you're allowed to complain.
Yeah.
You're gonna call them whiny, but it's not like Anakin's like, the Wi-Fi's down! Whee!
So
he's like, what?
Think, like, there just needs to be, like, a far bigger scale, obviously, in these fantasy, like, blockbuster movies to see what they're really mentioning. And I think, Leia deserves her son back. As someone who's very glad that the head of Story Group and the head of Lucasfilm is a woman.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of men in particular, especially if they don't have kids, I'm not sure if it's just, like, women in general have instinct thinking about potential children they may or may not have. But it's like, if that's your kid, like, most parents who love their kids will do anything for their kids. Like, I just remember even my mom, like, when we saw Star Wars together, and I was mentioning something about how Han knew he was going to die, but he would do it if it would, like, make his son feel better in a way, and she was like, yeah, I would do that. My mom, like, I was like, I 100% would do...
Oh, I know that my mom would do the same thing.
Yeah.
My mom's like, I would do anything for you, all the time.
Yeah. Like, my mom, after reading this, she was like, I get it. That's 100% what Han Solo was okay with. Like, I don't want to say okay with dying.
Yeah,
but he saw that his son was, like... He knew his son was going to kill him because he thought it was going to make him, like...
Was going to help him somehow.
Like, somehow.
Yeah,
and
if I could count the number of times that my mom has sacrificed for me throughout my life, like... Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Like, when I'm talking my mom out, she was like, oh, yeah, like, if you needed to kill me for some reason, she would let me. Like... As horrible as that sounds, and obviously, like, this isn't happening in real life because, again, this is fiction.
Right.
You just have to understand what, like, a parent's mindset is.
Yeah, and, like, I'm, like, a really empathetic person, so I totally understand that. Because, like, even when it, you know, how you, like, sit around with your friends and you're like, if it came down to it and, like, we were trapped together and a guy was holding a gun to us and was like, me... or your friend, what, like, me or you, what would you do? And I'd be like, well, I'd let him kill me, because I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, if someone broke into our apartment right now, this is why you're This is why you're Anakin and I'm Obi-Wan.
That's-
Because he'd be like, alright, one of you is gonna die, and I'd be like, it's fine, it's me. Courtney's got too much to live for. It's me.
I don't. I would. Well, honestly, I would just be terrified. I don't know what I would do.
I know.
Well,
And I know that about you. The number of times you've almost accidentally pushed me into the street to get away from a bee.
That's why I'm like, I hate to be like, I wish I could promise you the same thing, but I have such a bad fight or flight
It's okay.
risk that I've almost killed you because there was a bee.
It's okay, Anakin. I understand.
I get it.
I'm ready.
Or like the one time we almost got into this Riley street fight walking home from dinner one time. I booked it. Okay, so we're like walking home with a like short story. This is again, I just need to keep on emphasizing this is rambles.
Knights of Rant.
Knights of Rambles. And we're walking home from dinner with a big group of friends, and our friend Roger, aka Roger's Base on YouTube, if any of you know him.
He's very loud.
Very loud. Said some things he shouldn't have said to a group of people who wanted to get into a bit of a squabble.
They are the mafia.
They are the mafia, man. We think these people are the mafia. And they came up and started like, not like roughing him up, but pushing him and like getting up in his face. And you stood there. Yeah. I was gone.
You ran. You and another friend ran.
Yeah.
While me and the others kind of lingered to see if Roger
would be. To be fair, I ran to get out my phone. I did get out my phone right away and started like dialing 911. I'm like, I just wanted to be like prepared for like, what if they just shoot him, man?
I was like, forget it. I was getting ready to be like, I'm sad that I'm not wearing a high heel shoe because normally that's the first thing I do and take off my shoe and be like, I'm gonna fucking hit you with this if you try to come after my friends.
Come on, man, let's go.
I'm scrappy.
But yeah, I'm a runner. I won't lie to you guys.
Anyway, self-sacrificing.
Yeah.
Parents, they'll do it for their children. There are very little things in the world that, for the most part, a child could do to a parent that they wouldn't automatically forgive them for the second they said that they were sorry.
Yeah, especially like parents who, I mean, of course there are parents who do neglect their children.
Yes.
But like even in this case, we have Han and Leia who, I don't want to say neglected,
but they weren't
Kylo,
perfect parents.
But they weren't great parents, but they did love them. They just weren't supposed to be parents.
Yeah.
They, like, I believe Han loved his son, but he...
to the best of his ability.
But
I don't think Han's really able to love. I think deep down he's always a little too self-centered. He is a good guy.
He's too concerned with doing what he wants to do. And he's not going to let anything...
He's not ready to self-sacrifice until that moment with Ben.
Yeah.
Where he's like, all right, I'm going to be a dad.
Like, right after the initial war ends, he just goes back to doing what he was doing before. Which, again, kind of made me sad, just because Han does go through such development in the original movies. But, I mean, he's like, you know what, the war's over? Yeah. I'm going to go back and enjoy myself.
He's like, because he believed that he earned it.
Yeah.
He's like, I did my part, the galaxy's all restored, whatever, I'm gonna go do it. And that's why I think it's so powerful, his death. When he's like, okay, I'm ready to give up this life that I love so much.
Yeah.
For somebody that's my son.
Yep. And especially, like, he's not only sacrificing himself for his son, but also for Leia. Yeah. Because he went out trying to get their son back.
Yeah.
And... again, I have a video about it on this channel, and I think Endgame they're going to be able to turn around Han's death as a necessity, as something that needed to happen in order for them to solve this conflict. It'll be something with like Snoke being able to trust Kylo, and that trust being able to lead to certain other things that will eventually lead to the demise. I think they'll be able to twist that and make that happen.
That's what I would do as a storyteller.
Oh yeah, because a lot of people are going to are having a really hard time sympathizing or understanding Kylo after they killed Han, who is like
a lot of people's favorites.
A lot of people's favorites. Mm-hmm. And admittedly, he is definitely like in my top 5. Or definitely was back when I was a kid. He was my absolute favorite.
Right.
And so, but yeah, I'm like getting lost in my thought. But I know a lot of fans are just not ready to understand the Han's death or forgive that.
Yeah.
And if they give it a purpose, like it needed to happen, like Han's sacrifice saved the galaxy
everyone.
In the end.
Yeah.
I think that's great, which is another reason why I hope they can go about this story without killing Luke. And I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with Leia. I mean, I can basically say I am pretty positive she was supposed to get a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't know
because
what's
of all the
with her.
characters
Who deserve it, it's her.
She deserves it more than any of the others.
And again, especially given, like, the situation, unless they really, really want to end the Skywalker saga at 9, which they can, I'm okay with the Skywalker saga ending at 9.
Me too.
I think 3 trilogies is great. Beginning, middle, and an end.
333, the rule of 3.
I think it's nice, but at the same time, Star Wars is such a campy, happy ending kind of...
Right. It's always had a happy ending, except for Revenge of the Sith, but, you know...
you don't...
Because you kind of had to have
you
that
don't want to
sad
see the Skywalker line end with Kylo...
just being a bad guy who just tried to destroy the galaxy and got his ass kicked in the end.
Like, there's always the chance that he dies, but he dies in his redemption of himself. Like, that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's too much, like...
The original trilogy?
Vader? Yeah.
I don't want these to be exact carbon copies of the original trilogy.
No, I definitely see why The Force Awakens is so similar to A New Hope, and reasons why it should be. And again, when people complain about Starkiller Base, I just had to being like, too much like the Death Star. I just had to be like, guys, what's scarier than the Death Star?
Yeah, you have to kind of...
It's like, what's scarier than a thing that blows up a planet? It's gotta be a thing that blows up a lot of planets. Yeah. There's not much else unless you're working...
the only other thing I could think of would be stuff that, like, I feel like other sci-fi things have already done. Like, the only thing else is, like, maybe something that created black holes, which swallowed up planets and, like, galaxies. But again, I'm like...
It's the same concept.
It's the same kind of concept, and so people would still have complained.
Yeah, something that instantly destroys planets. Because, again, you could have had that they released Plague or something. I don't know, but, again, when you have a weapon like the Death Star and you're trying to top it, it's hard to do besides just a bigger Death Star that explodes more planets. So I see where the complaints are coming from, but at the same time, you just gotta be like, but when
guys,
how are they gonna top it?
Guys,
they still have to top it.
They still have to be scary.
They've
already taken down a Death Star. There needs to be guys.
I know. And like with Kylo's character, I just want to like. There's no real point for having him be conflicted if he's not going to redeem himself in the end.
Or at least struggle with it.
Yeah.
At least teeter on the edge.
If he was going to be a bad guy the whole time, characters like Phasma and Snoke and Hux don't need to exist.
Yeah.
That cast, I mean, obviously we have Snoke as the big bad because Kylo is not the big bad.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously need to see that he's being manipulated and controlled in some way. Like, we know he's making some of his own decisions, but we need to know that there's someone above him.
And there's someone above him that he doesn't always agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't want Snoke to blow up.
The Ilenium system or
yes.
the Hosnian system?
Yes. He was like, no, it's cool, I'll just get the plans. And they were like, no, blow it up. And he was like, oh, guys. And that's why he wasn't there on the base when it happened.
I'm like, this is... Like, a lot of people were like, dude, he was totally for him. Like, the second time, he's like, guys, I can get the map from this girl that... He's like, really, you brought back a girl? We wanted this droid, you brought back a girl? And he's like, yeah, she was pretty. It's fine. And... That's
cool. Not what he said.
That's exactly what he said. 100%. She was pretty, and she saw the map, and like, really, did she remember every detail of that map she saw? Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Then what were you gonna do with it? Were you gonna draw it out? Were you gonna sketch it out?
Yes.
Yes, I'm a very good artist.
Have you seen my drawings of Darth Vader?
I've been practicing with my Crayolas.
Yeah, I upgraded to color pencils.
I need more black markers. Because I ran out of ink.
Snoke, I need more black crayons.
He, like, puts in his request for, like...
Black and red crayons, please.
Please. I have some maps I need to draw. And, some self-portraits I need to finish.
And sketches of me and my grandpa.
It's gonna be absolutely great. But we have, like, even if you don't pick up on just the way they shoot those scenes or the way Kylo's talking around it, if you read the book and the script, the script itself is like, this is not what Kylo wants at all. When, like, that's, I like, the words in the script when they're, like, talking about blowing up the unlimium system. And, like, oh no, this is not what he wants at all. So he comes up with, a thing, being like, we don't need to do that because I can get the map.
Right? Please don't blow up where maybe my mom is.
Please? My mom? She's still alright. That's my...
I don't know where she is, but she could be there.
And,
Please don't blow it up.
like, there's just no point with having... Like, his character is absolutely drawn around his conflict. And then this is where crack fingers, ba-bam! I'm gonna bring up his data bank, because that updated fairly recently.
Yes.
A lot of people think that Kylo stabbing Han was the...
That was just his plan all along. He was like, I'm totally setting this. This is what I was gonna do.
I was just talking to a helmet by myself for just... Because I knew there was a secret security camera watching me. I was just... And Han would maybe... I don't know. But a lot of people are thinking that, like, that was his step into the dark side. Which, obviously, that's what he planned.
Yeah.
Like, Kylo was
he
like,
was ready for
this will make me feel alright, because I'm dying on the inside.
This will make me evil.
And obviously, this is the plan. But to a lot of fans, we realize that obviously not. That didn't happen. Like, he felt way worse afterwards.
He was like, shit.
He was a freaking mess. But a lot of people were like, no, did you not see him? He was pure evil afterwards. And you're like, okay. Did we watch? Okay, but
do you know how people work?
But in the update for the Star Wars databank, I'm just going to read this out loud. I apologize, I'm not wearing glasses. I can't really read it, so it's blurry. But hey, it's going to be a wonderful poetic reading. Let's snap.
Right.
Kylo faced his father inside the First Order Starkiller base and struck Han down with his lightsaber. But this shocking act of patricide patricide, sorry. Is that a word you can say both ways? Who knows? Didn't make the former Ben Solo. Oh, wait, they said Ben Solo!
Ew!
That's like the first time in canon they've ever called him Ben Solo. I
hate it.
I'm mad about this.
At least Ben Solo Organa.
Trash. Anyway.
BOS!
I'm mad about this. The former Ben Solo feels stronger, somehow he felt weaker. Rey then bested Kylo in a lightsaber duel. Sparing his life, Kylo had hoped to end the conflicts that caused him so much pain, but found he remained at war with himself, more lost than ever. So...
Bam! More lost than ever!
Ben Solo felt... He wanted to feel stronger, but somehow he felt weaker. Literally.
Yep.
Like, if you just didn't know the point of this... Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's clear as day to me, but there's so many people who just...
I mean, the whole point that, like, he couldn't even really use the Force afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess people probably aren't looking into that, but, like, he couldn't use the Force, guys. Remember when he was trying to get the lightsaber and he's looking all confused, like, why isn't this working?
'Cause he's fucked up, man.
Did you guys not watch Avatar? Remember when Zuko changes sides?
And also, I just like how these are the same people who think Rey's a Mary Sue. So it's... they're all like the same people. They're like, Kylo is pure evil now. He felt stronger afterwards, but Rey's a Mary Sue for beating him. I'm like, no, he clearly felt weaker afterwards. And also, shot, bleeding out. There's a reason why he lost.
Yeah. He couldn't use the Force anymore. He been shot by Chewbacca's fucking bow thing. I can't remember what it's called. Which normally kills a Stormtrooper in one hit. Kylo's not even wearing armor, as far as we know. Like, maybe his dress has some armor in it, but...
It's pretty dress.
So he's weaker. He's wounded. Like, are you kidding me?
I don't know, man. People are crazy. But there's another database entry I'm gonna read that was just added. It's about the interrogation scene. Kylo swore his loyalties were only to Snoke, but he was intrigued when he captured Rey, a Jakku scavenger, whose Force abilities were raw but very powerful, and a mysterious connection seemed to link the two. That's a new thing that either they're related or they're gonna smooch. That's honestly, in the databank entries, they
Courtney, Force bonds don't always mean smooching.
They always mean smooching, or they're related.
Yoda and Dooku?
They smooched all the time.
Oh my god. Dear Lord!
And that's my shit, my OTP.
Okay.
Yuku.
They both kind of look like Muppets, I guess.
Doda. Oh.
Doda? Oh, Doda.
That's my, my true OTP.
Oh my god.
But they are, like, I mean, I like this personally, because I like them pushing that the Force bond happened, because
I love
a lot
Force
of people
bonds.
seem to be, like, denying this as in the future, when there's so much evidence for it. And in the
want them to bring it
databank
back.
entries, there's, like, 3 mentions of a connection. And, like, later, let's see if I can find it.
I mean, the Ahsoka novel even hints at it, as far as I've gotten into it, at least. And, like, you kind of totally get it in Rebels, too, where Ahsoka's like, she, like, when Vader shows up, doesn't she talk about his presence?
I don't really remember.
I feel like she did. Where she was like, that presence.
She kind of senses it, and she, like, a part of her, she part of her is, like, kind of thinks,
Is wondering if it's...
kind of feels Anakin, and she's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
God damn. But there's another part of the databank that also is just, like, I can't find it right now. I'm not sure if it's under Rey's page or somebody else's page, where, like, Kylo, like, it's after Kylo's left on Starkiller base, and he was just like, he knew then that their destinies were intertwined, ... But how? Like, oh, poor Kylo. Potentially.
Because he's a Skywalker and she's a Kenobi. Come on.
Oh my god, that's
Come on.
what I would give.
She had the high ground.
She did have, there's so much poetry in her freaking being a
God,
Kenobi.
it would be so beautiful.
I love it.
It's not what we're talking about this time,
But again,
guys,
like,
I just want it so bad.
Obviously, I think Kylo's gonna get it. What we can see from this, like, weird connection that they have, Kylo's gonna be like, oh, well, our destinies are intertwined. You're destined to join me. And
she's gonna be like, no, bitch.
We're going to
take over the galaxy.
Take over the galaxy. That's, I mean, even in the Lego Star Wars game, there's some great just added sentences
Silliness.
about it.
Uh-huh.
And when Kylo is trying to convince Rey to, like, join him and stuff, I'm like, oh, I wish these lines were in the movie.
Yeah.
But, like, that's clearly what he wants. Like, he's like, oh, I sense this. Like, you're Force, like, sensitive, and you're, like, really strong, so we can take over together. It'll be great. And, like, in the long run, that's not going to happen. We're not going to see Rey and Kylo end both on the dark side.
Yeah. No
like,
way.
The quote-unquote twist, it's not a twist, though,
Yeah.
is that they just belong to, like, working together on
the good side.
on the good side, on the light side, or somewhere in the middle side.
I'd be fine with the middle. I love the Gray Jedi. I want that to come back.
I know, I was kind of, I mean, just because we're on the ranting, Pablo Hidalgo on Twitter said something about how stupid he thinks, like, the concept of Gray Jedi are, and that really made me angry, because he's like, you're either a Jedi or you're not. Not like, you can be a vegetarian and eat some meat. I'm like, well, one, yes, you can. There's
Yes.
There's like the
the
people who only eat fish, which I always accidentally say the religion that sounds like
it's like Ecopatarian something, whatever.
it's like Presbyterian, but not
that. I know
No.
what you mean. And then there's the people who'll eat eggs, and the other people won't eat eggs, and there are people who'll like.
So I'm like, that was a bad.
There's some people who only just don't eat red meat. You can
be
There's also
a vegetarian, and
I'm sorry. Let's talk about, I don't know, religion, like Christianity. There are plenty of people who are like, I'm Christian, but only follow a few things.
And
You can
again,
be
he may
a
just
certain
be
level.
referencing that, like,
You can be Jewish and not follow kosher. Like, yes, there are. You can be something and not
maybe
follow
he just
all
doesn't
the
like
rules.
the word itself of Gray Jedi. Like,
Maybe.
that's one thing. Like, how else are you gonna? It's just an easy way to package a character like Ahsoka.
Yeah, like, what are you gonna call Ahsoka then?
Like,
She's
she's not
just
a
not a
Jedi.
Jedi? Yeah.
She's somewhere in the middle. Even her lightsabers don't have, like,
They're
Jedi.
gray!
They're glowy white, and they're like, the reason why it's supposed to signify that she's not part of the Jedi Order.
Right.
And, like, her soul knows that.
Yep.
Doesn't believe in those teachings. That's why she left.
Mm-hmm.
If she still believed in those teachings, she wouldn't have... If she still believed in the Jedi Order, that she wouldn't have left.
She wouldn't have left. The Jedi Order had gotten so convoluted and so, like, gross. I don't like the Jedi teachings. I like some of them, but I don't like the idea, like, we've talked about this on podcasts, but, like, anything that tells you that you can't love, to me, is very... I don't understand it. And I think that that's, in some way, like, it just seems evil to me. Mm-hmm. Where you're not allowed to, like, allow yourself, like, the basic happiness of, like, loving someone. And I know that Jedis, like, are encouraged to love, like Anakin says.
Compassion, guys!
Yeah. You might say that we're encouraged to love, blah, blah, blah. But, like, it doesn't... I don't understand that. I get, like, because it can lead to jealousy, but also... There are plenty of people who are in love and are good at not being jealous over stupid shit.
And another reason, because, I mean,
like,
I'm trying to be, like, fairly not obvious about my bias of what I want to happen in these movies, except for I'm not at all, but I think, especially, it would be really nice if they can show that loving someone isn't horrible.
Right?
Because in the first one, like, Anakin's love for Padme was an obsession. It was an obsession, it was unhealthy, and his love for Padme is what ruined him. Right.
Because it wasn't a healthy love. It was an obsession, and he put her up on this pedestal, and they didn't have communication. It wasn't love. It was literally just an obsession.
Yeah.
And I think it was drove to that way because he had to keep it a secret.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't allowed to love her openly and honestly.
And I think it's just, like, a really nice end slate for these movies to show that, like, one, that Kylo is not his grandfather because love didn't destroy him, it could actually save him.
Yeah.
And it's something that I just get upset about, is a lot of people get angry with, like, female characters, like, being love interest at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not even, like, it doesn't have to be, that sort of love story, but, like, when, I'm trying to, like, word this the right way, people are like, well, Rey can't help Kylo come back to life. He needs to make that decision for himself. And I'm like, well, there's part of that, yes, that's true. He needs to want that change for himself. But there's also the part of that, like, do you not want your friends to help you when you're, like, if you're going through something, do you just, like...
Courtney, I don't want to hear your problems.
I'm not going to help you. You need to do this yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you need a support system.
Help yourself.
There needs to be people around you who are willing to help you, even if you're not even, like, if you were upset and be like, and you were like, this is going to get really dark, if you were going to throw yourself off a bridge, and you were like, I don't want you, don't talk me out of it, I'm going to do it, I'm still going to talk you out of it, or, like, try to, because I care about you as a person.
Right.
Does that make me a weak character?
And does that make me weak for letting you help me? No, it makes us human, that's what makes us human. That's what humanity is.
So I think that's
what separates us from, like, animals.
I don't like that they put Rey in this position. A lot of people I've seen put Rey in this position where she can't feel anything for anyone.
Yeah.
And she can't...
Compassion is not a weakness.
No. And
it's a strength. I don't understand. There's one thing about, like, reducing a character to a love interest. Because I would hate for Rey to be reduced to a love interest.
Exactly.
But...
You can also...
I definitely feel like she's still always going to be her and Kylo will be the two driving forces of these movies because they're two such opposing viewpoints of the movies.
And when they're really trying to push that this story is about the new generation, like these new kids that have shown up. And of course Han had, like, a big character in this movie, and Luke's going to have a big part in this movie. But this is a story in the long run is about the new generation of characters. So... Rey, Finn, and Kylo, they all need to have this connection of some sort.
Yeah.
Because right now, Kylo's connection is simply because he's the one that's related.
Right.
And I mean, he sort of has, like, a rapport with Finn because he was his former boss, you know, that guy. Traitor! And then he's got this thing going with Rey, this, like, growing Force bond between them. But people are expecting it to stay at that and not grow anymore. And they're like,
there are 3 movies, people!
They're just like, no, they're just gonna hate each other the rest of the 3 movies. And I'm like, there's absolutely no point.
These are people that, like, I feel like don't consume any other types of media besides TV. Yeah. Because I'm like, you obviously don't understand anything about storytelling. Because how boring would, like, a book be if the rapport between all the characters staying the same all the way through? Especially, like, a series. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me? I cannot imagine any novels where, like, even rapport between the main villain doesn't sometimes get, like, a little dicey.
There's going to be growth there.
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to that big final showdown, whatever's happening, that big final showdown is going to be with, like, our new generation. So there needs to be that growth of the relationship that happened. Kylo can't just stay connected to his parents.
Because, let's be real, there is a chance that all three of the original characters will die. Luke, Leia, and Han could all die.
Yeah.
I don't want them all to die. I mean, Han already is, but if they were to die, he needs to stay connected to them somehow. Mm-hmm. Get the characters, besides that he's just the bad guy.
I'm, like, getting so flustered because it does make me so angry when people say this. And, like, I want to talk a little bit about our political climate right now and why I think Kylo's redemption arc is important to our political climate. Now, I'm going to, you know what?
We might alienate some of you guys, but we live in California!
Okay, so we live in California, and we agree with most things California agrees with.
Yep.
So if this is, like, a sensitive subject for you, we are at 41 minutes already.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So this...
And we grew up in Michigan, which is definitely a different climate than California.
Yeah. And needless to say, we're in a very, very tense political climate where we have a very big us versus them mindset, where I feel like no one is standing up for their morals, especially a certain party. You know what? I want to say the Republican Party. Uh-huh. Republican Party's lost their spine. Absolutely. Yep. And I don't feel like a lot of them really are standing up for their morals or what's right for the country. They just want their party to have power.
Yeah.
And it's a very us versus them mindset where no one's really caring about the people. They're only caring about power.
No one's looking to work together or thinking about the future.
They're just voting against each other, and because the Republican has the House majority, they just
Let's be real. Changing. There are a few of the Republican Party who have been voting against their party. A few.
Very, very few.
Very, very few. But let's applaud them for having a spine.
Well, that's exactly why I think Kylo's redemption arc is so important, to see someone who is on the, I don't want to say the wrong side, but
the opposing side.
Yeah, someone who's on the opposing side, who honestly believes Kylo's there because he believes that they're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. And I believe that a lot of Republicans honestly believe that they feel the right thing about the economy and certain things, and they honestly believe that, but they're voting for certain people and supporting certain people that clearly
have other intentions.
So I think it's very important to see someone on the opposing side, the quote-unquote enemy side, stand up and have a spine, being like, this, I have my beliefs, and at first we were aligned, but this is too much.
Yeah.
You're not doing the right thing anymore, you want power.
Yeah. You don't care about groups of people anymore.
Yeah.
I thought that we were doing this to make the world a better place, and instead you're alienating people.
Because in Finn's story in Before the Awakening, they very much show that the First Order, like all the propaganda videos, is them going to places that are starving, and that, because they are establishing that under the Empire, if you were an Empire-ruled planet, your planet never went hungry. Mm-hmm. Like, you were under very, very strict rule, but they did take, you were protected. Uh-huh. You were safe.
Yes.
And so
you were fed, you didn't have freedom, but you knew where you were going to sleep at night, and you had food, and, like, you could probably raise your children.
So, it's just, like, a very scary lifestyle, but again, they were emphasizing that, and now with the New Republic, they were emphasizing that so many planets were going hungry, and that the First Order was going on these relief missions to help people, to do all this, which clearly they might be doing, but it's not their priority, and I'm sure we'll see more of it in the future.
That's what I would love for them to explore more from Finn's point of view, because we didn't see any of that.
No. And I'd like him to explain it, being like, this is what the First Order thinks they're doing, what the Stormtroopers think they're doing. And even for Kylo to be like, he probably has some power that he likes there, but clearly when they're blowing up planets, he's like, this isn't the right way to go about this. this is
This is crazy.
This is crazy. I thought we were trying to establish peace in this galaxy. We're establishing, like, this fear, which, I mean, he's a very, like, intimidating guy, but...
Even in the novels, every time he has to go and kill someone, isn't he like, don't make me do this?
Oh, like,
Just give me
in
what
the
I
novel, I will say I love novel Kylo so much, because even when he's killing Laura Santeca, he's like, oh my god, please don't make me do this. I have to act cool in front of my friends.
Yeah.
But if you just tell me what the map is, I won't have to do this. Mm-hmm. But he's like, I'm not telling you. And then he's like, oh, God, well.
He's like, well, this is war, so.
They gotta kill ya. Sorry. And even before the interrogation scene, he, like, I kind of wish they did keep this in the movie. But again, I think there's so much of book Kylo, which I've talked about a lot, that makes it so clear that he hates himself. Just absolutely hates himself and what he's doing. So even in the interrogation scene, when he's about to go through Rey's head, he's, like, sitting down. He's like, please don't make me do this. I hate this. Like, I don't like this either. It's not going to be great. I'm going to get the information no matter what, so you can just tell me, or we can just avoid this whole unpleasantness that I have to do.
Right.
And then she's like, spits in his face and like, do your worst. And like, oh, God, come on. And he's actually, like, just much more apologetic about his actions, because I think he honestly, I mean, JJ has said this, Adam Driver has said that, this guy honestly thinks he's doing the right thing, and that they're going to some extremes, and he's slowly learning this. And that's why I think, again, this whole political rant of mine, why Kylo's redemption is important, or him standing up to the First Order is important, to be like, you know what, you can align with people that you agreed with, but you can know when they've gone too far, and then when it's your time to stand up and be like,
this is wrong.
This is wrong.
Yeah.
Like, to see these people acting and saying these things, and to just make excuses for them and be like, I'm not making excuses for you. I at one point fought for you and even defended you.
And did some things that I didn't want to do. It's exactly like what Cassian says in, like, Rogue One. He's like, I did some terrible things for the right reason, for what I thought were the right reasons. Mm-hmm. I need to move forward knowing that all the terrible things that I did were for good.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, there's so many reasons why I think this story should end this way. I mean, honestly, I think Leia's character deserves it. I think Kylo's character deserves it. I think the Skywalker line deserves it. Yeah. That the Skywalker family has really gone through a lot of hell, because
they all have this inner darkness.
And, like, I'll go into this a little bit. I do want to make a theory video about it, but they've gone through this hell, especially since it was revealed to the galaxy that they're Vader's kids.
Yeah.
And the Republic was absolutely disgusted by this. Like, Leia lost a lot of the power she had in the government. They were talking about going and hunting down Luke. And in that point, she was like, oh God, they're going to get my son too. Uh-huh. And she's already, like, really worried about her son. It just, like, the Skywalkers have been through so much, and basically Kylo, it sucks because Kylo basically proved what the Republic wanted to see.
Right.
And that's why I think Kylo, I don't want to say he wasn't framed, but they made sure that happened.
Yeah.
There was people in the First Order and the Republic that made sure that Kylo
became the monster that everyone wanted him to be.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That they're like, these Skywalkers, it's in their blood. They can't be trusted. Mm-hmm. And we need to... And they saw that this boy was on the edge, and they're like, let's push him over. And
just like they did with Anakin. I mean, that's exactly what happened with Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
Penelope was like, I can see it. I can see that darkness brewing in him. All he needs is a little bit of temptation. And then, it's everything that the council said.
And then no one trusting him. Yep. Everyone thinking they're like, we've got a bad feeling about you.
The council was always like, I don't know, he's too wild.
He's too old, and...
He's too wild, he's too old, you'll never be on the council. I'm Mace Windu, and I'm jealous of you.
That's our... I want to write that novel.
That's our...
In my... With eyebrow raggles, and...
Please
don't. I want to pitch that to a story group, being like, I want to write a story, except for I could never write a full story about Mace Windu. I don't care about Mace that much. No. But I do like our headcanon that Mace assumed he was the chosen one. And
He was like,
why-
I have the purple lightsaber, you son of a bitch! I'm the chosen one! I'm on the council? I fought hard for this! Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are? But, yeah, so there's just so many...
Why would you want a story that proves the point that, like, your bloodline is what makes you, like, that evil can be in your blood? Why would you want that to be your story?
Mm-hmm. And
why?
Like, when you have, like, inner turmoil, no one should try to help you.
Ugh.
And, again, there's going to be people who are like, well, he did really, really bad things. Yes, he did, but, like, let's put this in the context of Star Wars, where all of our characters do really bad things.
Yeah.
Han flat out murdered a guy, like, who honestly, Han wronged this dude. Like, Han was totally gypping Jabba.
Yep.
So, I'm not saying Han deserved to die, but Han was not, like, the good guy in this scenario.
No, it was not.
And we did do a death count.
Oh my god, yes we did.
In watching TFA, just because I was so bitter about
people talking about how Kylo's killed so many people when he had the
lowest death count
of anyone on screen.
Everyone on screen, of all the main characters.
Because we did not count the planets blowing up because Kylo was actively against it.
Yeah, and we don't count the planets blowing up, and also, like, he didn't even, like, push the button if we're gonna even count that, and, like, that was Hux.
Yeah, he
like,
didn't have any of the
idea.
political power there.
He did not have that. That was not his decision.
Yeah.
Military decisions are not in... He's like Vader. He doesn't have military
He's just
power.
a pawn. Yeah.
People just listen to him because they're scared of him.
Yeah.
So, like... And again, they're like, well, Stormtroopers are the bad guys. So when the good guys kill the Stormtroopers, that doesn't really count as a death. But this is a story all about how a Stormtrooper... Finn's one of your main characters, and he's a Stormtrooper that came to his senses, and you find out that all the Stormtroopers are basically taken from their families, raised to do one thing, and work for the First Order.
And raised under propaganda, thinking that they're doing the right thing.
So it's not even necessarily like the original trilogy Stormtroopers, when these are people who
volunteered or...
Yeah, I'm sure there was definitely recruitment.
Yeah.
But these are people who've gone to the academies. They probably grew up as adults. Like, the First Order is kidnapping these children. And, again, that is a flaw I have with Finn's character, that...
He just kills Stormtroopers without any remorse.
With no remorse, and I just would have loved one line of... I mean, they could have honestly fixed it with, like, one line of dialogue.
Where he's like, you don't have to do this.
Where he's talking to even, like, the traitor guy. And I talk about this so much, just because it would have solved, like, all of my character issues with Finn. And again, like, I don't want to say, like, they're just bad issues. It's just, like, Finn's a fine character if he wasn't a Stormtrooper.
Yep.
But
because he was,
there should have been that moment where he's fighting Traitor, and especially him and Traitor were on the same team.
Right.
They grew up together.
Right.
And he's just like,
he's a traitor, and he's
the
like,
First
no.
Order has been lying to you, and says something, and they're like, they're lying to you. They're not doing good things. Like, all the propaganda they told us was wrong. Something along those lines.
And then the guy's just like, I don't care.
You either see an I don't care or a little moment of hesitation, and that's when Han shoots him.
Yeah.
So you see him stop attacking for a second, which I think would have been a really strong moment.
Yeah.
Especially for Finn's character. And at that point he went on being like, no, we need to try to save these Stormtroopers. Yeah. But again, he could have kept attacking, and then that's when Finn's like, all right, I need to kill these people.
Yeah.
So they could have gone either way. I would have loved it.
I would have liked the hesitation, but that would have added... They would have had to touch on it a little bit more. It would have... Honestly, it would have added on 5 more minutes to the movie, but...
Like, again, because I think a stronger character trait than... I don't want to kill or good people, or innocent people, because no good guy wants to kill innocent people, is... I think a more interesting character trait would be, I don't want to kill at all.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a very... like
I'll still do it if I have to, but I don't want to.
Yeah, so I would have loved to see that.
Some hesitation. And also it would have done a good job of... Because, like, the original trilogy does maybe not the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy doesn't do a super good job of it, but Clone Wars does a good job of being like, who's really the good guy here? Mm-hmm. Because it shows that both sides of the war are doing terrible things. Mm-hmm. The Jedi are cloning people and throwing them off to battle just to die against robots, and the bad guys are like, well, we're just fighting with robots, so whatever.
And you see very normal Separatists.
Yep.
Like, you go to Separatist planets, and they're very normal, good people. Mm-hmm. They're both just being led by Sith men.
Yep.
Like, you got one being led by Dooku, and one who was being led by Palpatine, and then one being led by just Palpatine. Mm-hmm. So, that's why I kind of really like the Clone Wars era, because again, I sort of agree with a lot of things the Separatists were doing. Yeah. And at the end, that's when Anakin's getting so mad, he's like, you sound like a Separatist. Like, when Padme's talking, and she's like, oh, I thought, like, I kept on fighting for this, unity, but just of what we've become, maybe there's a reason the Separatists exist.
Yeah. Maybe their thinking isn't so bad.
Who knows? We'll see. Yeah. But that's why it's so interesting that if you just took the political stances for what they're worth, Leia and Padme would have been on the opposite sides for.
Yep.
Just, from certain ideals that what the Separatists believe is what Leia's political party believes, and what Padme was fighting for eventually became the Empire.
Yep.
Like, she wanted the
unity.
The unity, which eventually became a big power, while the galaxy power versus, planet...
Separate power.
States versus country kind of thing. Very, very political, very accurate, and it's going to continue to be super...
It's like having the UN and some idiots who want us to not be a part of the UN anymore, It's kind of like that.
God. I'm very sorry for all the people that we may or may not have alienated during this podcast, but one, watch Star Wars and make sure that you like Star Wars.
Yeah.
That was always, the one thing. I'm like, did you think the Empire was the good guys?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you like Darth Vader?
I honestly, yeah, probably.
Did you?
A lot of people. They're like, that's why everyone's like, Boba Fett's the best.
Really?
I like Darth Vader.
I like Darth Vader, Boba Fett, and Darth Maul. And you're like, okay.
Okay, maybe we'll...
All right, well...
Palpatine's my number one.
But Palpy? Good old Palpy? He's my pal. Number one pal.
It's a good old pal.
Palpatine.
So, the whole lesson of Star Wars, it's very clear that it does echo the political situation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, to deny that is, I'm like, this is not coming out of nowhere. This is not me adding,
This is not us being libertards and adding our liberal agenda to Star Wars.
I'm like, no, this has always been there. Like, George Lucas himself when it was talking about Vader, was talking about Palpatine being Nixon. Like, he's said this, and I do know that they do take things from political climate and slide in their lessons through things there. Like, that's something they're very open about. Go see Mark Hamill's Twitter.
Yeah.
He reads the Cheetos tweets
as
the Joker.
Yep.
Like, they're pretty clear. And when someone compared Trump to Vader, he was like, don't do that to my dad. How dare you?
How dare you?
But again, I don't like alienating our audience, but at the same time, this is a pretty scary time for America.
Yeah.
So I think that staying quiet about these things, and again, we didn't go super into it, but
no. Because let's be real, there are bad sides about both parties.
Oh, definitely. Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying one party. There shouldn't be any political parties at all.
Yeah.
There just shouldn't be, because, full circle here, because it's creating, they're like teams. It's an us versus them.
It's exactly why I don't like the Jedi.
Yep.
I'm like, we've gotten too extreme. We need to work together. We need more Gray Jedi.
And hence why your story needs to end with good old Sir Kylo getting his redemption. Getting his groove back.
And hopefully, I'm totally fine with, Rey struggling with the dark side, too. I would love to see both of them end somewhere in the middle.
Same here.
In this, like, gray area.
That's why I'm like, I think the next movie, just from what we've seen, and again, it's literally, I'm basing this off of Rey's outfit, because Rey is very clearly wearing a lot of black.
Yeah.
In the next movie.
And we know that Star Wars has always been very obvious with their costuming choices.
Exactly. So I think Rey's going to super struggle with the dark side, and again, Kylo's kind of being more confirmed that that's where she belongs. It's like, no, we both belong on the dark side. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And then who knows how it'll play out from there, but then they'll just figure out, no, they're
Also,
both pulled to the light.
Let's talk about how the movie's called The Last Jedi, so let's talk about how the kids moving forward probably won't be Jedi. That's my theory.
That's me too.
A theory.
Luke is
He's the last
Jedi.
one. They'll move forward,
They
they'll
keep
still
pushing
use the Force.
how corrupt the Jedi were.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it goes back to the KOTOR era, where isn't that the whole premise of that, was that the Jedi got too corrupt and they kind of collapsed in on themselves, and then history repeated itself, and they rebuilt themselves.
It
back
keeps
up,
happening.
and,
Yeah. There's a lot
just
going
seeing
on.
that
They
happen
keep
again.
they're just a corrupt group of people, and I think Rey is going to come to the conclusion that she herself can't
follow the teachings.
follow those teachings. And then Kylo, obviously, he's like, I can't.
Well, you obviously know I can't.
We can't do that.
So
And
let's just try to move
Kylo
forward.
was brought up with these teachings that you kind of were the light side or the dark side, and obviously he was...
And Rey will just be like, why not both?
Why not both?
And then they're like, yeah, and they raise her up, just like in those commercials.
Yep, the little taco commercials.
Yep.
The end. But yeah, how do you guys feel? I mean, I think it's very clear that this is where I want the direction of the story to take place, or to take form. That sentence didn't make sense, but
No, it didn't, but that's okay. This is how we want the movies to go.
yeah, they want.
We want Kylo's redemption.
Yeah. Oh my God, we've been talking for a long time.
Well, people asked for this.
They did.
They better listen.
And honestly, I might have, like, a second podcast about this, because I did want to have, like, all of my pinpoints.
Well, maybe you could
written
just make a
down.
video on it.
Yeah, that's true.
One of your concise videos. We have the podcast called, Who Talks First?
Well, we'll probably even, after episode 8, depending how that goes.
Well, yeah. We'll definitely talk about it again after episode 8.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we're still going to talk about it. But for the reasons stated above, I think it's a nice story for what our political climate is. Seeing
It's also just a good story
people,
flow.
a good story flow, good story poetry. Leia deserves it.
And it's good to
Han
show people
deserves
who
it.
are...
Han deserves not to die for nothing.
Yeah.
If Kylo stays on the dark side, Han dies for nothing.
And it's good to show people asking for forgiveness and receiving it.
Or, like, even asking for help
And
in
receiving it, yes.
Because I don't believe you necessarily need to forgive all the people that have hurt you.
No.
But when people are hurting and you can help them,
Why don't you do it?
why don't you do it?
Yeah. What does it hurt you?
And even, like, for yourself, being able to accept help for yourself, I know that's really hard for a lot of people, especially a lot of people who suffer from mental illness.
Yeah,
it's
because
really
you don't
hard
feel
for
like
them.
you're worth it.
You don't feel like you're worth it. You're kind of like, it's hard for you to admit that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And I just...
It's a show of weakness for some people, and you're like, no, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. Absolutely.
So
not.
I think that's such a
especially
great, strong
especially
message.
men asking for help. It's so ingrained in our culture as, like, Americans that men aren't allowed to ask for help. They always just they need to be strong. It's why when people call Kylo, like, a crybaby, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Because
You
he
know what,
showed
with you.
because he showed emotion.
And it's... I mean, the same thing happens with, like, Anakin
He's a
and Luke,
human.
But,
Yeah.
I mean...
But yeah. I'm like,
I love little whiny Anakin, but...
people showing emotion is not wrong. People asking for help is not wrong. People needing help is not wrong. These are human things, and we need to see them more in media because it'll erase this toxicity that we have of one, mental health, of two, hypermasculinity. Like, it would just be good for so many different reasons.
So many different reasons. And, like, just to emphasize the point one more time, like, Kylo's actions, they're very bad in our universe.
Yes.
But you have to remember the context of the Star Wars universe. I'm not saying they're great.
Nope.
I'm not saying, like, they're easily forgivable.
Nope.
Like,
He's gonna have to work to get forgiven.
But it's... what Kylo has done is not on the same level of what would happen in our world.
Yeah.
Again, when we're talking about Han Solo is also a murderer.
Yes,
He is also a drug dealer. He is a smuggler. Han's not a great guy.
No.
Not saying he did... Who knows? Maybe Han killed his own dad. He was an orphan. Who knows?
Who knows?
Theory time here. But...
There are plenty of bad characters in the universe. But again,
Star
we're
Wars
not
is-
going to relate them to real life things because, guys, they can move things with their minds. They can literally force people to do other things. Our main heroes in the original trilogy and in the prequel trilogy could literally force people to do things.
And they did.
They did it all. The Jedi mind trick. They force people to do things all the time. Obi-Wan, objectively like one of the most purest characters in the series, mind-controlled people.
Yep. And they even talk about how hard, how gray that action is.
Uh-huh.
So it's not like, oh, that's just a thing Jedi do and everyone's hunky-dory with it. There's a scene in Clone Wars where Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Mace Windu, your heroes are doing the mind probe to
one man.
And
Ahsoka's like,
Ahsoka is really not okay with it.
uncomfortable.
But we see our heroes do this a lot, and I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but maybe don't always apply things to real world equivalents because they don't exist.
Yeah.
They're definitely just like, oh, this is not a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
And but the good guys also do it, and not saying that it's a good thing, but their actions to them are just because they need this information.
Because they think they're doing it for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It's wartime, great things happen.
And, like, a lot of these crimes are crimes of war. We do need more details, again, of, like, what of Kylo's turn to the dark side, and, like, the killing of Luke's students. But, again, Vader has done way worse stuff, and Vader was redeemed in the end.
And he didn't even ask for forgiveness.
No, he literally... Oh my god, Vader's redemption. He would literally, like, tell Leia, I told you so.
Bleh!
And, like, that was his, like, final will. Tell your sister, you were right about me. And
I'm sorry for killing children. I'm sorry for murdering your mom. I'm sorry for torturing your sister. I'm sorry for trying to kill you. None of that. Not even I'm sorry for anything. Just
tell your sister I had lightened me the whole time.
I was still down there. Wink.
When you see, like, very little hesitation, the whole rest of this
even
series.
when Luke's being electrocuted, Vader looks back and forth like 4 fucking times. He's like, should I?
There you go. No, alright, we did it.
You're like, oh my god.
Father, please.
Okay.
I guess it's alright. Took me a while, but... So he's
better late than never, am I right?
Like, I guess this is, like, world's longest story short. Vader can be redeemed. Dude, like, why don't you think Kylo can? You're more hurt that he killed your childhood hero. But again, if they can work around it...
And make his death worth something.
And make his death worth something, make his death necessary, and it's always been part of the Jedi teachings to put the lives of many over the lives of one. Like, that was a big, big thing in the Clone Wars and the prequels, is that Obi-Wan kept on being the Anakin, like, you gotta stop prioritizing Padme.
Uh-huh.
You can either save a lot of people or save Padme, and you've gotta always go with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of lesson's gonna come back. At least I hope so. The way I would write it would be that.
Yeah.
Is that, because I think that adds a nice poetry with Han being the one that could actually save his son.
Mm-hmm.
Because Leia was so much like, if anyone can save him, it's you. So Han's already done it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unfortunately, it didn't end up super well, but if it was a necessity that needed to happen, Han's circle has a really great ending, and his death has so much purpose and importance to the story, and it makes sense.
Yep.
Like, absolutely make it fit into the story without it feeling shoehorned or plot devicey. Like, this was very clearly the task that needed to be done to earn Snoke's trust. Like, very clearly, because afterwards Snoke's like, you can bring him to me now, because now I can complete his training, because he showed his loyalty.
Yeah, because he killed his dad.
So, now we have that, it did something, and that trust can very easily be
Turned against Palpatine?
turn against Snoke later.
Did I say Palpatine?
Palpy. Good old Palpy.
You know, same person.
Yeah. Anyway, we've rambled a lot. I think this for sure is our longest podcast. I knew it was going to be because it's
Something we care about. We're gonna go back to building IKEA furniture because Courtney fucked up. She built all the shelves the wrong way.
I'm trying to make our apartment less of a hellhole, and I've made it worse.
Made it worse. I broke a nail!
Did you really?
Yes!
I'm sorry, I folded all the drawers the wrong way, and now we have to rebuild them so they can actually fit in the schmoop-doodle, whatever it
Good
is.
job. Good words. Alright, guys, thank you for listening, and if you've made it this far, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for watching another episode of Who Talks First. I am CT.
And I'm Solo.
And we'll see you next time.
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, we won't see you. We'll listen to you. I'll do a theory video
You'll
next
listen
week.
to them? Won't they listen to us?
Yes, I'm tired.
Wait,
Wait, I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere.